Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not to Comic Book. This being the show, we're talking about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season finale of Supergirl. Great season finale. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, we had the whole situation with Lex finally being welcomed aboard, the ship and everything, and him being like, so your place is a casino. And then when they actually show you, the ship parts of it, I'm like, my mind immediately goes, that looks like a TARDIS on the inside. But regardless, I don't know. That's just immediately where my brain went, which I think is kind of funny when you think of. I'm not about to go on a tangent. I was about to go on, but nevertheless. But they have I forgot what the exact I think it's pressurized or something. But basically, the moment someone that isn't them goes into that area, it feels like the place is crushing them, and but they give him a pen that kind of helps him. It's supposed to be like a defense mechanism for anyone that tries to get inside the ship and everything. But he's kind of been welcome amongst the ranks. And we also meet other people in the organization. Because we've only, we've met Romacon, we've met Gemma, we met Margot. Wasn't that her name, Margot? We met them, but now we've also, there's, two others that with him, because apparently, Romacon isn't the only elemental. There's, other elementals, too. So they're all absorbing the kryptonite. I don't know why, just, from a perspective, I like that, you got the kryptonite glowing on Lex's face as he's smiling maniacally. I don't know why, just, that shot right there was oh, that's a pretty good, sinister shot. I like that. But nevertheless, at the same time, it's Lena's, she's oh yeah, she's kind of wanting to explain where she was coming from with this whole situation of Car, but Car's no, we don't have time for the whole apology thing. It's we got to get straight into this. Everyone showed up. It's whoa, you said it was an emergency. It's yeah, because we're not talking about taking down Lena, we're talking about taking down Lex and Leviathan. It's all right, cool. So now it's a situation of because of all the kryptonite he has, because it's it's a thing of, I forgot what the line was, and I thought it was such an interesting line of we'll protect. They're we'll protect you, Kara, but no, Kara's I'll have you guys to protect me or whatever, because it's with all that kryptonite, they'll have enough kryptonite to kill you. But she's no, I'll be fine because you guys will be there to protect me. It's protect you like we protected the DEO, and how that you saw how that whole thing went down. So. But basically, because of Romacon's ability, being the earthbender that he is, Kara goes anywhere, he's going to know exactly where she is and able to pinpoint her. So it's how do they get around that? And it's and Magon's they need a distraction. And John's where do we? He's no, I know where you're going with this. He's those pants look they're going to chafe. And then he puts them on. He's I knew it. I was I love it. I'm trying to remember when's the last time he pretended to be Kara. I want to, like I said, I could be mistaken. I want to say it was with Miss Grant. When it was Kat, I want to say that was the last time. There's probably been a more recent time, and I'm just not remembering. I know there had to be a more recent time, and I'm just not remembering. But it wasn't just him; it's Magan too, and I love it. I love that weird thing of them looking like Kara, but they're sounding like themselves. So there's that whole situation. But I also love that, Alex shows off her new suit and everything to Kara, and Kara screams at the top of her lungs, and they're oh, it was a scream of, excitement and stuff like that. Jeez, you scared us, Kara, because I thought that was so dope, because it's and then, but, Kara's general reaction, I'm oh my god, I get to see my sister suit up, it's so cool. I mean, to be fair, it's very interesting, because obviously, Alex was there for her, suiting up for the first time, all those years ago, so it's nice to see it kind of on the other foot this time. It very reminds me kind of it's almost like a nanotech green arrow suit. That's what it kind of reminds me of a little bit. Especially because she's got the makeup on her eyes too. Because there'll be the green across your eyes. I mean, that was prior to him getting the mask. So it heavily reminded me of that. So I thought that was interesting. But once again, it's technically a nano suit. Technically it's not, because it's just it's projecting the suit it shifts in because I think it's a byproduct of the weapon. It covered her body like a nano suit, which whatever the case may be, it was almost like a nano suit. So it's cool. Whether it really be classified as one is beside the point. But so they're trying to draw out Romacon and his other elementals. fact of the matter is, seeing Alex kind of bringing out, like, at one point later on, she's like bringing out like a rifle. At another point, she's bringing out basically a bazooka. So she's gotten a better control of it. But I can't wait for us to fully see like everything, like when she really has an opportunity to really go all out with it, to really kind of see it kind of lock and low. But at the same time, like when trying to fight against Romicon and the others, like Nia, has a vision about Brainy, but once again, it's something that comes up later on too. She still keeps thinking of it as, oh, these are visions that aren't meant to be a situation of like, she thinks it's like, oh, I'm just dreaming of Brainy just because I got Brainy in my mind. Like, because it's interesting too, because later on she brings it up, like the fact is, like, for her, it's not that they were just a couple. She felt like they were partners. They, basically protected each other. They had each other's back. And for her, it's a situation of, she's just thinking that this entire situation is her blaming her. Like, she thinks it's kind of her own guilt because she's the one that told him to turn off the inhibitors, and what Brainy's become, she thinks like, oh, it's my fault. So that's what she thinks, like seeing him in her head like that, she thought that was what that is. She's thinking like, oh, I just haven't gotten over him. And Magan's like, you're a powerful dreamer, so you should lean into it, because like those it's not just something as simple, because it's like, when John found out that I was a white Martian, obviously he had his thoughts, obviously he wasn't too keen on it, but then he saw the person, my soul, he saw who I was underneath, and that no longer mattered. So it's kind of like she's saying, I do the same thing, because it's like, obviously Brainy, there's stuff that he's, hiding from you that maybe, or at least stuff that he hasn't told, but she's very hurt, so she doesn't want to listen. So it's interesting, because it's like, that kind of fits in an aspect of the episode, especially between Kara and Lena, because Lena has to rebuild her suit and everything. I'm like, right, that's interesting, because like, Lena is the one that made you that suit, and it's like, right, because she's never had a reason to build you that suit in this continuity, I guess. So like, she actually has to build like the anti-kryptonite suit. I was like, oh, that's such an interesting thing to think about. Once again, all the little tidbit crisis stuff that you're just going to see constantly pop up to throw in your face. So they've got to be working on that. But obviously, Kara's getting a little angsty. Well, she doesn't want to sit still, because there's a whole thing of like, wait, William, they haven't been in contact with him. Obviously, she only knows that because she was overhearing a conversation between Kelly and Alex. And Alex being like, no superhero. She's like, sorry. But now it's a situation of trying to find him, but it's like she can't, with Romicon and them out there planning to kill her. So it's like, well, what can she do? And eventually, like, there's that, I won't lie to you, it's like, I don't know what, like, to me, like, this is the second time Kara's got to do this season, and that's when she got to tell Lena off, and Lena just kind of has to take it, because it's that thing of like, once again, I get it. Lena was hurt. I get where she's coming from. Still does not justify everything she's done. It's kind of like, come on, Lena, I get it, but come on. But even Lena this time, she's like, oh yeah, like hacking into all this stuff. It's like, oh yeah, like the whole everything that, last season and everything, right? And it's like, yeah, Lena, I told you I don't want to talk about the past. She's like, just, you can yell at me. You have every right to be. She's like, the fact of the matter is, my friends are out there hurt. And, that's what my secret identity is. Like, because like Lena was like, I know. She's like, no, you don't know. You don't understand. You still don't understand. You never did understand. Like, my identity, keeping it a secret, meant protecting the people I cared about. I didn't tell you my secret because it was me protecting you. Because you basically said, like, look at the danger the people who know my secret are. Because these are people who know about me as Supergirl, who are fighting by my side. They're getting hurt because of that. And, that, obviously that makes her feel, because it's like, I can't do anything for them. I have to lay low until the suit's ready and everything. But for her, it's like, yes, I get it. I didn't tell you. I should have told you sooner. I waited and waited. I get it. I made that mistake. But what about you, Lena? I made one mistake. You did so much. You did everything you possibly could to hurt me. And I was like, yes, tell her. Like I said, this is her second time telling Lena off this season. I'm like, yeah, because she hasn't really done that this season. Like, she had little moments here and there, but like I said, this is the full-blown second time. Once again, it's just because it's like, it's something Lena needed to hear. Like, it's a situation where like you get so caught up in your own perspective that you get so easily swayed that you're not willing to see. Like, she was almost looking for every opportunity not to kind of forgive Kara to a certain extent. So, and at the same time, everything with Obsidian, the lenses, they're moving along and everything. We also got to see Gemma and we see it at the beginning, like earlier in the episode, but also later in the episode, we got a good look at her real form, because at first, like, she's there in front of Lex, and then like on the screen is her real form. I was like, oh, she looks like Terminator to a certain extent are scary enough looking on their own. I mean, I guess but like she looks like an even more terrifying Terminator. But nevertheless, I was like, oh, she looks pretty badass, like seeing her full form like that and everything. But basically, she talks about the fact is, obviously, she isn't the leader. She responds to someone else. Because I think I was under the impression Leviathan was actually the name of who they actually serve. Maybe it still is. But it just seems more and more, it's just like, oh, Leviathan's just the name of this group, this organization. But it's like, who's at the top? It's like, all they kept saying is like, oh, I serve her. Like I said, not less it is. Like I said, under my assumption that it was a Leviathan at the top, so, but whatever the case may be, this whole thing is about getting everyone to put their lenses on and everything, because it's like with that, Gemma could then kill everybody. Then there's a whole situation with Eve and William. William trying to talk Eve out of not killing him. It's like, I look at you, you're a good person, you're not, which is so interesting. He's saying all this stuff. It's like, oh, well, I guess maybe this Eve is a little bit of a better person. I mean, granted, I'm sure Eve's circumstances in this, I mean, we'll never know whether Eve's circumstances in the pre-crisis world is the same as her circumstances in a post-crisis world of like, oh, it being about protecting her mom, Leviathan killing her dad, kind of forcing her to work for them and stuff. Like I'm wondering how much of that was the reason beforehand, or like whatever the case may be. Once again, we'll never really know. But William can kind of see that, but for Eve, it's like to protect the people, her mom, like she needs him to die. I didn't expect her to actually shoot him. I thought like, oh, Kara's going to show up at the last. She does, but it's like not until after William got shot. I was like, oh, geez. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna save you. And she's like, okay, like, oh, you can't be moved, so I can cauterize this. And he's like, go ahead, do it. She heats Vision for a little bit. He's like, no, stop, don't do it. And she's like, it's too late. It's done. Don't worry about it. You're good. I'm like, that's so interesting, because I love it. It's like, go ahead, do it. Never mind, don't do it. Oh, it's done. Never mind. Type of situation. But nevertheless, Kara, luckily they got Eve and Lena got Eve and William out of there, and then luckily the suit got there in time, which I don't know what, like her falling back like that, her like horizontal like that, and the suit coming on and her kind of floating up. I'm like, that looks super badass. I also like the cart with like the jump over the barrels and the super clap, and I'm like, yeah, that looks sick. But nevertheless, it brought about a really interesting thing, because these people are like gods or immortals. Like even Alex was like, oh yeah, like for the first time she felt like human. It's like, because anything they've ever been up against, it's always been like a steep battle, sure, but for her, she's never felt so like out leagued. It's like, it seems like it's at least been something within reach. I think it's interesting enough. I think. I also love that bit between her and Kelly, where just Kelly was like, oh, like, you take my advice. I said a mask. I didn't expect all this. It's kind of like, yeah. And also, like, what's that movie? Because it's the movie everyone references about Catherine Zeta-Jones, the whole, like, the lasers and stuff like that. It's not that's not the name of the movie, Entrapment. It's something else, isn't it? I'm blanking on it, but like Alex kind of had her badass kind of moment like that, where she was just like sliding down, like hacking into, getting the door open for Kelly so Kelly can hack in and stuff like that. But nevertheless, it made me think of that. And then obviously, Kara talking to Eve, and it's like, I heard about everything. It's like, you did this for your mom and everything, right? And I'm like, ooh, you're not going to tell her, are you? And it's like, oh, of course she isn't. Because I'm like, well, this isn't the perfect time to be revealing that information, because last thing you want to do is piss off the person that could potentially help you in the end. But I'm like, oh, that's going to come back to bite Eve in the ass so hard, dude. Because it's like, all right, let's not forget that Lex has proof, whatever it is, or video or whatever, of you killing Jeremiah. Alex is just finally dealt with that. That's going to be enough to piss her and Carl, that's going to be a complicated thing. It's like, oh, Lex manipulated me. It's like, yeah, you might have, but you still were the person that killed their dad. So it's like, because it's just like, even with them helping her out and everything, and she's like, oh, I'll give you all this information. It's like, I'm giving you all this information that will help you stop Lex and Leviathan. I'm not giving you the information that's going to make you pissed at me and not want to help me. That's just where my mind is with it. So tells her about Gemma and their plan to get everyone into the obsidian lenses and then killing them. At the same time with all of this, like, there's Brainy, because obviously earlier in the episode he talked to Lex, like, all right, we know the ship, give me the pen, I can go in there, shut it down with the virus. He's like, no, we'll let Leviathan will let them kill, Supergirl and her friends. He's like, you think I'm just going to let you kill my friends? He's like, well, yeah, because the fact of the matter is, they are heroes, and they'd gladly sacrifice themselves if it meant saving the world. So it's like, oh, let's look at this as them kind of sacrificing themselves to save the world. I'm like, why? I'm like, that's where I'm like, I don't get it. Because it's not like you just stop with Kryptonian. You hate all superheroes, apparently. I'm like, because that just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why would you do that? Like, we're talking about the end of the world. But, I mean, in his mind, it's like, oh, the world might fall. But what's going to happen? I'm going to be the hero that rises up to save the day. I will be the one to lead the human race. I'll get rid of these godlike beings in general. Because I'm sure the hate he has for Superman and Supergirl, same hate he's got for Leviathan, because they are immortal beings. And it's like, oh, you're trying to you've controlled and manipulated and done stuff in our history for so long. It's like, it's my time to kind of step up and, lead the charge that is humanity's destiny, essentially. So, but obviously for Brady, he's stuck in that position of like, well, what do I do? This is about taking down Leviathan, but he won't take down Leviathan until he lets my friends die. So what do I do? So he talks to the other Brainy, and she's like, that's so interesting, because she's like, yeah, you don't have to let your friends die. I mean, it's like, well, because you know what to do. I guess it's like, where the ship is now, so you can find some other way. So it's like, you don't necessarily have to work with Lex anymore, or at least, I know, like, we told you to kind of do what Lex says, but this is something you don't have to do. You've kind of, because for him, he's like, had to make so many sacrifices, he had to like push away everyone that he's loved. But for him, it's like, if it means doing, like, the only means for him now is to sacrifice himself, like, because it's like, rather than like using the virus or whatever, he can now shrink them like their people do, like collecting planets and stuff like that. It's like, shrink them down, that way they're not a harm to anyone. And it's like, going in there might kill me, but obviously it's all worth it if it means protecting the people who cares about it. He's just asking the other Brainy, is like, as long as you're like, I just don't want to die alone, and she's promising to be there with him. So when the time does come, he has to suffer through it too, because he has to stand there for like 10 minutes with his hand, and like, if he moves, it has to start all over again. So she's there by his side saying, you can do this, just focus, and I'm here with you. So obviously, like, it's kind of a tough battle, because no matter how much they fight the elementals, they just keep like popping back up, because they're essentially immortal. I don't know if especially them being elementals, I don't know if there's an exact way of just like straight up killing them. But Brainy ends up activating the device and ends up pulling them all in and shrinking them in. So he ends up saving the day. And obviously none of them knew it until Nia saw it in her dream, like, oh my God, Brainy. So at the same time that's all happening, it's like, okay, so everyone's hooked up to Obsidian. So we gotta, like, because there's no way to just push all those people out. And so Kara's going to have to give a speech, and she's like, I've never done it to this hill. Because if I remember correctly, the whole Myriad situation, that was only National City, right? It had only gone as far as National City, if I remember correctly. And this would be the entire world, because there was pushing on 2 billion people at the time logging on. So Kara's trying to talk to them, but it is a thing of like, these are people who, this means a lot to them, because it's like they're being able to reunite with people they've lost. So it's like how can I really reach them, especially something where this place is so comforting to them. So Lena sets up a thing where it's like multiple Kara's talking to everybody at once, because by herself she wouldn't be able to talk to the billions of people in there. And so she kind of talks to them, like, and it's an interesting thing, because she kind of talks about some of the stuff that Lena learned last episode about the whole thing of pain. It's like, pain, like it's not a like it's a hard thing to deal with, but at the same time it's sadly a necessary thing, because pain allows us to evolve. Because the fact is, us being here, this isn't real. Like that pain, it might hurt, but it allows us, it kind of allows you to find a way to kind of keep going. Like it's not a thing of just like completely forget whoever you lost, but it gives that pain evolves, gives you the chance to kind of grow, And obviously Kara speaking from the experience of like it allows you to forgive people, because it was talking about the Lena thing, which at the same time Gemma is bringing in Andrea, because like obviously she wants to flip the switch now, but and then you have Lex being the psychopath. He's no. What's killing a fourth of the world so you can have 3/4 of the world coming after you? At the very least it needs to be 50%, which I'm like, oh, you're going a little Thanos there, huh? At the bare minimum, the plan was to wipe out everyone, but the bare minimum I guess is 50%. So I think that's interesting. Which is really interesting when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, considering we're kind of were in this situation already when literally the multiverse got destroyed, but they don't know anything about that. You know about it, but they don't. I think that's so interesting, especially when I brought that up, because this crisis was kind of like their Infinity War in Endgame, so it's interesting to think about. Regardless, so they send Andrea, and it's like she's like, yeah, I'm Leviathan, we helped your family, and Andrea's like, oh my god, yeah, sure, I do whatever you need me to do. I need you to kill Supergirl. What? It's like, that's not something you expect to hear the first. It's like, yeah, I need to kind of chop to it too. Like, if you don't, you do this, your family, your business is going to flourish and everything's going to be great. You don't, everything's going to come crumbling down, and your dad, well, we both know he won't survive the pain of all of this. So forces her hand, and obviously it's interesting because Lena's there to kind of stop her. It's like, I know why you're doing this, and the fact of the matter is Lena was able to kind of convince her not to do. I thought it was kind of interesting, taking what she had kind of learned from Kara after that conversation, just in general, all the stuff that she had been through, like obviously all that she thought what she was doing good, and how she got to where she is right now, like all of that experience and everything. She was able to kind of talk Andrea down of like, if you want to get to Supergirl, you have to get through me. Part of me was worried. I was like, are we about to see her stab Lena? Is she gonna? Okay, luckily she was able to kind of convince her and talk her down, but it's like, oh, that's probably not gonna be, well, quote unquote Leviathan kind of got taken down, so it's kind of like maybe everything's going to be okay on that front. I mean, we did see Supergirl reuniting Eve with her mom, which I'm like, haha, yeah, reuniting the lady who killed your dad with her mom. It's just you can't have, but it just leaves a sour taste in your mouth, because you're like, you get Eve was manipulated, but you're like, oh, it's gonna suck when that truth bomb comes out, because like that's gonna turn into a gnarly situation. So I am curious though why Gemma wasn't fully sucked in like the others were. Maybe I don't know. Maybe just because of how maybe them being like immortals and stuff like that. Maybe it was just too much just to get them, or because like it seemed like Gemma was partially getting pulled in, but I guess because she's kind of like a robot, like it didn't like affect her. I don't know, because when we see her later on, she goes full blown like, oh, her skin melts away. She goes full blown cybernetic, like what she really looks like. She's got like tendrils kind of representing like her hair on her head too. I'm like, oh, she looked kind of scary before. She looks even scarier, more sinister now. So there's that. But at the same time, we did see kind of like bridges being mended between Kara and Lena, because Lena talks about the fact is that for her it's a situation of like, she understands now why Kara kept the secret that she did. It's like, because it's like, you didn't want me to get hurt, but I did get hurt, and I do what I always do. I build up a wall and suffocate myself. So, but Kara, it's like, the fact is, Kara admits that she was like, I kind of was looking for any excuse for you to mess up so I wouldn't have to forgive you. But, protecting my identity, building the suit, helping me save everyone on Earth from, Obsidian, like, because it, like, you came through in the end, so I think I can forgive you. So it's like, where do we go from here? It's like, well, there's still another bad guy out there, and it's like, yeah, let's take down my brother together. So I'm like, yay! Like, it's going to still be a thing of like, oh yeah, things will probably still be a little awkward. But I even love there was that moment between like, it's like, well, if anyone could do it, it's you. Lena and Alex say it at the same time and look at each other, and like Lena's like, Jinx. I'm like, yeah, but probably Alex probably isn't like, before it would have been funny and cute, but I was like, you're still the one that came after my sister, so yeah, that it kind of had that look and feel to it vibe, but it was just kind of interesting that both of them would say it at the same time. But along with all this, obviously, like for Lex, he's upset. And it's just like, oh, maybe things didn't go according to plan. But once again, Lex is like, oh no, it went according to plan. I knew you'd be the hero that you are to try and take them out. But I didn't expect you to die, basically dying in the process. So he's like, well, the fact of the matter is I got this power and I'm going to use it to kill Supergirl. So you can die here alone like you were planning to, all alone. So it's kind of like, and Lex ends up kind of meeting up with his mom, and it's like, oh, it's time to get to work, and it's just like, okay, so there's that. There's still Gemma, because she's not dealt with, plus whoever their boss is, like whoever like is at the top. That's still kind of an unknown factor. Plus, once again, there's the whole Brainy situation, like maybe Nia and the others can get to him in time, but it's like, who knows what the damage will be, because like he's also going to have to explain like everything, because Nia got, I don't know if she got everything from the dream, but she got enough to know he was in trouble, but she did see him with Lex and everything, so it is going to be a thing of like, well, what are you going to do? And it's going to be interesting, because obviously, like, Kara was, forgiving Lena for everything, but now it's like, well, are you going to do the same thing for Brainy? It's like, he was working with Lex because he thought it was the only means of saving the day, and, Lena kind of thought the same thing, so both of them kind of, duped in this situation, but, I'm very curious to see, ultimately, once again, like everything, this wasn't where the season was meant to leave off, but, it still puts the season in a very interesting position, going forward. Supergirl has obviously been renewed for a 6th season. I'm so curious to see where they're going to go. Considering this was like, episode 19, I doubt they would have completely dealt with the whole Leviathan thing, even in the next, 3 or 4 episodes. So I'm curious, like, how things would have played off and what that would have set up for, season 6 and stuff like that. But, obviously, it's still in a position of leaving enough storyline open of like, okay, the bad guys are taken care of somewhat. So, of course, Lex is going to come into the main focus right now to be the main bad guy. But like I said, it's still like, because Leviathan hasn't been 100% dealt with. So I think it's interesting for him to just kind of be like, oh yeah, I'm ready to kill Supergirl. It's like, well, there's still a baddie out there that, well, I think because he's so smart, he thinks he'll be able to take on anything that comes his way. It's like, it's contingency plan upon contingency plan upon contingency plan. So either way, I'm very excited to ultimately see, where season 6 takes us with everything. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.